As we get into this morning, what the hell hat am I wearing today? Hold on. Just because of the week it is, I can't possibly wear this hat. I'll be right back. What was I thinking? Michigan, Ohio State on Saturday, and I'm going to wear a Florida hat? No. Unfortunately, you'll only see me in the Michigan hat. And if we win on Saturday, you're going to be a very happy... Well, you've already seen that, Tom. Only a couple of times. Maybe one time we won the national championship. But anyhow, good morning, everybody. Welcome in. It's very simple this morning, I think, to disseminate or discern what's going on in these charts. I think if we just, once again, I know it looks red. I know we're looking in a certain way. But let's, all of us together real quick. Can we all just sit for 1 minute? Be thankful that we're here together, that we're able to look at this in a unified fashion and we actually understand what's going on. So we're going to take 3 breaths because I need to as well. 1. Perfect time to hit the like button. 2. Perfect time to give thanks to our Lord and Savior Yahweh and Yeshua. 3. Good time for us to give thanks to each other for continuing to do this journey together. When we walk together, it makes it a lot easier. Furby Trades, I'm going to assume that's 1970 legend now that I can't see who anybody is because it changed all the names. But yes, it's going to be interesting. Furby Trades, it's Nick. What the hell? I can't tell anybody anymore. So this is Nick Morales. Now everybody's names are changed again. How am I supposed to keep up with this? I just got used to it for a second time this week. Lord have mercy. Lord have mercy. At least I know Furby is Nick. That's our technical advisor. MQT in chat, formerly Scotty Trades, aka now Harv. Oh, this is fun. This is fun. I forgot Nick. I forgot Ohio State for you. Man, oh man, is this going to be an interesting Saturday. I know you guys are ready to beat us again. But then again, you're defending national champs, so I wouldn't care. My yard now welcoming fellow Wolverine. Go blue. And thanks for being in Tom's on for 3+ months with the XRP Meteor. Mrs. Stott, welcome in as well. And Mr. Stott somewhere in the abyss. Thank you both for being in Tom's on for over 3 months now with the XRP Meteors. Syrian, I know you. I know CB because it changed years on me like a month before everybody else's. So I know exactly who you are. Thank you, Syrian, for being a very trusted mod in here and in the Telegram and in Tom's Army for over 1 year. And Nick, thank you so much for being a very trusted mod in here and in the Telegram along with MQ. Well, now Harv. But okay, just so we can get into this, and I want to update you guys all on my son now. He's been taking a full 8-ounce feeding now. He's still hesitant with his mouth. He's not eating anything by mouth, but he's slowly but surely, he's putting stuff to his mouth. He's starting to touch stuff to his lips again. So he's starting to get past his psychological, his little trauma-based response that he's built in from, a lot of you know, but I'm not going to run through the spew, but he's doing a lot better today. Very happy, running around the house. We're getting a lot of his oohs and ahs again that everybody's familiar with. He's nonverbal, so you get it in different ways. But very, very happy with his progression right now. He's not really showing any signs of anything bothering him now. Like I said, taking the 8 ounces of formula this morning like a champ, no issues. So he seems to be getting back to full health here. It was a mess because he had an ear infection and a stomach flu. It turns out that the flu, we can just call it. And it was just, he got the worst. But his sister had pneumonia before. It's been going around school. So it wasn't a fun couple of weeks in this house. So hopefully he'll get back to 100% here. And on Monday can go back to school and be his normal self. But I am blessed to know having the G tube for when he couldn't eat. Because remember, we ended up hospitalized for a month last year. And then it ended up to a G tube. Um, he we were able to nurse him back ourselves and hydrate him and keep him hydrated when he wasn't able to eat or keep anything down. So we got on a nice little routine with fluids. That's what he was able to keep down, clear fluids. And when I give him the Pedialyte, I get the unscented and unflavored, so I don't get any of the nonsense in it. So, but he hospital for dehydration, and we're able to keep him hydrated. And now when you see him, he's 100, besides getting through the psychological, which in the hospital, it took like 7 days once he was hydrated and everything to trust keeping things down, but we'll see what happens. But yeah, so thank you everybody for tuning in. I greatly appreciate it. I'm going to do the intro and then we got to get right into the charts. Good morning. 10:53 a.m. Eastern Standard Time on this Wednesday, November 26th, 2025. Some say the ball tightening, the sweat induced, the anxiety filled, the numb tingling orifices, we go blank in our minds. We have these unrealistic expectations and we can't acknowledge when we're in down stretches. That would be the Michigan and Ohio State fan base right now, 2 days before the game. Because the last thing we want to do is go another year here having to go, blah, blah, blah. We can't beat those cocksuckers of the North or South. Excuse my French. Let me let my cat out of the room. I'm XRP future millionaire, and I reside in the great state of Michigan. And it's been a lot longer than that since the Buckeyes have beat us, and I better get it in now because in 48 hours they just might put 100 on us. So I gotta make sure I put it in now. But thank you everybody for tuning in. But I will say this, I stand with the Buckeyes, the Wolverines and Buckeyes, because the SEC, ever since the playing field was evened out and we started paying as much, Ohio State did before, but on a better level now, SEC can't beat us. So we'll stand arm in arm, the Buckeye and Wolverines, to kick the shit out of the SEC. How about that? Big Ten proud at the top, soft as hell at the bottom. Just like the SEC. Pretty soft all the way through. Overrated because they just overhype your teams. Most of the teams suck. That's why they can't beat us in the playoff or the bowl games anymore. Just head-to-head, period. It's been pretty embarrassing. But I digress, and let's get back into the charts. XRP, I'm going to show you very simply now the best way to look at this. I think we're still in a decent position here, but it can change in a heartbeat. So I think we're in a decent position because of this setup right now. It's a long-standing consolidation that if I was building this and I wanted it to be bullish, this is exactly how I would do it. It even slowed down in the 3-hourly and the 4-hourly and the 2-hourly to let this pattern catch up. 20 crossed to 50, 20 crossed to 100, back testing it, initially back test 100, rounded around to back test the pattern setup. Best way to look at this, I got to remember to breathe. Best way to look at this is that we've got the micro patterns. You've got the micro within the micro patterns. And then you've got the macro of the micro within the micro. I know it sounds freaking stupid, but this would be the micro, okay, of the micro. This is the micro of the micro. This is the minuscule micro of the micro of the micro that we're in right now. So at minimum, we have to be above 2, let's see, in real time. And we'll give ourselves grace because it doesn't need to be dead on. And we can use a lower wick just as the low. But really what we want to do here is we want to stay above $2.15 with the understanding we could come down with a wick like we did before. But in the micro of the micro, if we want this to be a little flag here to push up to 244, just here, we have to hold this, 215. If we hold 215, the next logical step up here would be, okay, well, if we hold the back test of this pattern, and you'll see how this plays out in symmetry, and I love symmetry. I love symmetry. Da-na-na-na. So now where do we go? Oh, holy shit. What's that number? 265. It's almost like we've heard that number. Remember, this is if we break up. And I don't want to break your hearts to the downside yet. So we're going to act like we're bullish, because right now we are. We filled out most of this pattern. We've consolidated. The apex is coming right up very close now. It's going to be late November, early November if you play, or late November, early December if you played this out. However, we're well within the 70% plus range to have a breakout or breakdown. So now if we break out, the technical target, if we hold at 215, is 265, but not so fast, everybody, because you can't get there from the micro of the micro until now you get into the micro time frame. So now you've put it in like Inception. You've got the micro within the micro. So now let's just assume we hold 216, but we can't get to 265 yet because that's just the target. As apparently I'm boring people because 10 people just hit the exit. 10 people just hit the exit. That just tells me this is the right time. This is the right time. I feel for the ones who left because they just don't know that they actually are receiving something that people would pay thousands for if they actually understood. So the next big push here, if we hold 215, you're going to see a pretty straight shot. Once we retake the 4-hour time frame, and it's up here at about $2.30, right up to this 244 area. Maybe 242 now in real time. But that would be your next big resistance. And this is the micro within the micro. It's just the way the pattern's set up. You can look at it several different ways. And now we push there. Now, once we get on top of here, again, if we get on top, because the only thing we've held now is the micro within the micro. This micro pattern now hasn't done anything yet. But you start building, let's just say it takes them to about here. You start building. So now you start looking at, okay, well, if we hit the wider consolidation on this little channel that was falling, the technical move up out of this little setup, we don't know if it's going to play out, is 292. Well, so now you're starting to build something here. So now you've got, if you hold 216 or 215, you've got a technical move up here that suggests 265, but we know the 4-hour resistance is at $2.30. Hence why I always talk about $2.32 if we can hold that area. So now we've got 230 as a micro resistance. We've got 215 as the micro support. If we can get over $2.30 and hold, then we know we've got to get past 242. Once you get on top of $2.42, it opens up the door to this push to 265. And this is my bullish megaphone that we've been talking about. And we're trying to see if it's going to take the down path right now or if it takes the up route and starts pushing out. So we don't know which way it's exactly going to go. I put it in both directives so you can see if it were to crash out at the 200, which actually this should be about right here. But if it crashed out at the 200, how it could build something like that big W, or we're just pushing out here on a nice V-shaped recovery, a little inverse head and shoulders, and then it pushes up and out, and then you just got to follow the trajectory. So I think we're in a megaphone, and I've been saying it for a couple months, but I think it's starting to show us that perspective. So if you appreciate what I do and you're watching out here in the audience, consider joining Tom's Army, as I put all my content out for free. I don't hide behind any paywalls. I don't hide behind advertisements or any nonsense that will take time away from this channel, because I want everything to flow in a unified fashion, but that also involves a little support from the audience, you know. And I love seeing all the members in Tom's Army. I love seeing all the people that are commenting. I love seeing the people that are sharing. Eventually, we'll get over the hump of being stuck at this subscriber base, because just as fast as I get people, I'll get 50, 60 people. The people that don't like when it's bearish or don't like the talk of building in unison, or that it takes time, or, you know, the people that want me to say it's going to 1,000 and I won't. you know, over time, those people leave. And then over time, you get people back. So, and this time it's interesting. But I think once again, we're not in a bearish moment unless we break these the aforementioned spots that I've talked about. That 215 for XRP is a big guiding stone. I still think, like with Bitcoin, I think it's doing exactly what it needs to do in a unified manner. Like I think it is. We even came back and came up, back tested, went to this area, reaffirmed this a couple times. Now we need to see if we can hold over this gap area. And if we do, we'll start pushing back up into that 88,432 area. I just want to put this over so we can see if it comes down farther. It's the same spot, but I just want to make sure if I'm on my phone, I can see it clearer. And then over the top, once we get back into this FEG area, this is nothing more than we're trying to see if we're using this as a bearish FEG now, or if we can get back within, like the CME futures, the one that was left open in this CME, so that's Chicago Mercantile Exchange, that gap, where there was a potential, if we would use this as a resistance, that could have been a bearish CME area, and that's not you don't want bearish gap areas. It just never works in our favor. So the fact we're on top and we're using this as a bullish gap area, this is beautiful. Not only did we come down through here, we actually came much farther to liquidate down to the 80,000 level, which I am so happy we came down to that area. And now we're starting to work our way. And the one optic that I'm going to continue to talk about is the fact that if we can get back through and not use this as a bearish FEG, which as of right now we are because we're below it, but we're consolidating above the CME, which is actually a really good sign if we can stay above that area. That's why I'm keeping this on the chart. Even though we filled both of them, it's still valid to me to look at it in this way. Just more information for us to use. So if we can get back on top of this, let's say we climb back up and we're up above 92,443. That's what we need to do. Then we push this rising wedge. And if we do get the ultimate rejection, well, then we have to prepare big time. Then we might come to 72 or 59. But look at it this way. Some of these cryptos like XRP, we might be looking at 265 and having to deal, or even almost $3. Remember in the scenario, if we break 265, we have a built out target if we get above 242. That would suggest we could build into that 292 range. It's not going to be easy, but if Bitcoin does this, it would be a quick move. You're not going to see it over a series of weeks and months. It seems like it would be setting up because a lot of people we're starting to actually listen to the Fed, and I've been telling everybody since the beginning, I don't care if the odds were at 18 or 20% at one time to have a rate hike. That is not happening. Just think about it. They're doing quantitative tightening, and it's ending December 1st to go to quantitative easing, which means the printing presses are going to be so out of control, they're going to have fire extinguishers on hand because of how much paper is going to be burning here. It's going to be printing so freaking fast. So there's no way that they're going to raise rates. So this whole drop was in expectation because people are thinking that we're going to cut or raise rates. That's never going to happen, I promise. If they raise rates, I'm Pinocchio. If they raise rates, you know, I would be stunned. This would be the first time in the history of the Fed I would be shocked. And I've not missed a single one of these Fed meetings, not one of them. We've been on point in this community. We have not missed a single one of what they're going to do. To the fact we've always been right about the exact basis point, like with the first one, 2 ago, when we actually cut rates for the first time. Everybody's expecting 50, and I said, we're going to have a market crash because they're going to do 25 basis points. And I said, if they do this, we're going to have a crash. I didn't know we're going to have the historic liquidation, but when we did the buy the rumor, I sold. After everybody bought up the rumor, I sold the news before anybody else sold the news. That's when I went liquid before October 10th. That's because they did a 25 base point rate cut, and there was all this built up. Some people were thinking 75, 100, and I was very vehement that if you didn't do 50, if we didn't do 50, we were going to crash. Would I shave my head if they raise it? I don't want to say that, but if they raised rates, I don't know what I would do. But I would do something astronomical, because if they raise rates It would be a very interesting moment in time. It would be horrible for risk assets. It would be horrible for all of us in the government. Think about it. They're going to start printing money, and if they raise rates, we've got to pay more, and we're already in debt. A nation in as much debt as we are they really going to raise rates when they're printing money? I don't think so. I don't think so. I think it would collapse the whole system. They're not ready to collapse the system. They're just ready to inflict as much pain as possible and make us pay for it. But within reason. Wow, I seen a couple of things popping up. My Yard Now, thanks for the $4.99 donation, super chat. And also in Tom's for 3+ months with the XRP. Meteor, let's see, Clink Dunbar. I got to remember. That's Shane, right, Clink? You're Shane. Shane, it has to be. I'm trying to remember because they keep changing the name, Shane. But I think Clink is Shane. And thanks for being in Tom's for 3+ months with the XRP. Meteor, we'll look at Quant in a second. Poppy Lou, thanks for also the $5 donation. And Super Chat says, thanks for being a real one. You are welcome, and thank you for appreciating it. And also being in Tom's Army 3+ months with the XRP Meteor. Thank you guys for the support this morning. Seriously. CJ2 Pilot, thanks for being in Tom's Army for over 2 years with the XRP 589 Moon Badge. And also the $4.99 Super Chat. That is so generous. Seriously. And I love the emote. Lori, welcome in. Mrs. Watson, appreciate seeing you in here. To the Moon, good morning. Much love to you as well, my brother. Sorry if I didn't get to the top comments. It's just they came in so quick. In My Father's Kitchen said, hey, Tom, wanted to say how much I appreciate you. Your analysis is spot on while others just talk history. You break down real data and show it clearly through your charts. It's amazingly accurate. Oh, thank you so much for that. And remember, everybody, I'm not a financial advisor, but this is the way that I see things happening, and I approach the market in the way I perceive it. So, and it's vastly different from anybody else you'll watch. I put a lot of thought into this, not just in the charts, but the data that comes out, what I perceive that news events might happen. But yeah, I've come up with a little system of my own to where it's becoming extremely accurate. Not saying I get everything right, but it's becoming extremely accurate with the tools I use. And it doesn't cost anybody anything. Like, that's the thing. Like, we're trying to do this to better ourselves, not just I, but all. So I appreciate that comment. Peace out. I'll shave my balls if they raise them. That could become a itchy proposition for you in time. Not a financial advisor, but gives the best advice. Oh, thank you, Droaz. I appreciate that. And thanks for being in Tom's over your second month with the Dusty's Autos crypto news. Tom, does XRP look like a cup and handle in the 1 week? Ooh. I like that line of thinking. I don't mind that line of thinking. I got to go into my other chart because now we have the one chart that I created that we only use. Where the hell's it at? Aha. This is our in the moment chart we can create now. That's if it came down, and now we're back within. This is emulating only because I used that moment, but this is the chart we can clear out that we're supposed to, and we use it on a daily basis. There's a Bitcoin chart too that we do the same thing now that we can. I decided to add an element to this, and now I want to utilize it to where we do it in real time and we see. So discussing. So basically, the best thing I can show you right now, everybody, and we'll look at this cup and handle possibility, and we'll get to other things, but I want to do profound focus when we come to XRP. Like I said before, I want to put a lot of time and thought into it. I have some big news to talk about XDC. I mean big bear, not small bear, big bear. This is big stuff. If you're on my Facebook page, I shared it, and in my Telegram, but I shared it in a Facebook post. It's a big bear. This is not small bear. This is big bear. Joseph Euler, thanks for being in Tom's over 6+ months with the XRP predictor. And also for gifting a sub. You are such a generous person, Mr. Euler. I can't even describe it. And Dave, congratulations, Davio, for the gifted sub. Your first month now in Tom's Army with the emoji badge of me being abducted by aliens. That is my face superimposed on that emoji badge. And yes, Shane, I definitely will look at quant. I promise. I want to get through this as I think XRP is forming some kind of bullish continuation, most likely. But we'll see. Can be invalidated if we lose. It would invalidate my thesis if we lose $2.15. So we hit a resistance, come through to consolidate. 1, consolidate. 2, consolidate. So right now, and we don't know where this ends up, but at least it would be a series of higher lows. I mean, lower highs. Then right here, you consolidate it down, up, back up, back down. So you have a series of lower highs and lower lows. What we want to see is this lower highs break and make a higher high before these lower lows break down and continue, you know, to make this lower low here now. We don't really want to see... We don't want to see a lower low made here now. We want to see a higher high break out because a lower low is going to be very devastating here, in my opinion. So we want to make sure we create a higher high here first. So we want to make a higher high before we make the next lower low is basically the best way to put it. Oh, it sure would, MQ. Oh my God, it sure would. And we've got some work to do. We can't make a higher high, in my expectation, until we get above, what is this? Somewhere around that 252-ish. We'd have to do it to make a new high. Because you can't count this as a lower low right now. I was just using that as an example because you could come up here and be a lower high, I mean. So yeah. So if you're looking at this from an amateur standpoint and you don't know what the hell's going on, let's just start from the basics. We're in a formation which one could maybe call it a falling channel. One can call it a megaphone. It just depends where you're looking at the pattern. But the best way to look at this is you have to look at a series of numbers, and you've got evidence in the 4-hourly. We can look at it better for the daily. I have no problem with that because we can make it clearer. So if you want to look at the series, you have a high, a lower high. And now, right now, for example, this could technically be a lower high if it broke down. You have a low, a lower low, a lower low. So what you want to see is a universal break. And now we've got to see a higher low. I mean, a higher high. You don't want to keep seeing lower highs, even though it stays in a channel, which is fine because you start building these falling channels and they're bullish, or megaphones that start. But the tighter it gets, eventually it's got to go one way or the other. You can only make a lower low so long before it breaks out to the downside. And you can only make a lower high for so long coming up here before it makes a new high, and then you break the structure. You know, so that's where we're at right now. You know, and this is the kind of stuff people want to do one-on-one with me. They want me to explain it like this in these kind of details to make it so simplistic that you don't need to know what pattern we're even in. You just need to pay attention to the higher high and lower low and see what plays out since we're in a series of lower highs and lower lows. It makes it... Can I ask a question? Does this make it simpler to understand, honestly? Yes, B Southtown. It's very possible there's a daily bull flag forming. As long as we hold 215, that would validate that movement I was talking about, the 232 with that flag, I think. But I think that makes it easier to look at the chart like this. I really do. If you like this, hit that like button. We're at 78 likes. I want to see who appreciates that perspective. Yeah, MQ, if we got the 256, I would love it. That would validate a new higher high, in my opinion. I think that would validate it. Let's see. I think you're on the money. I think that would validate it. Because right now, I mean, you can't really use this as a series of for the next high, because you could even come down here. This is what I'm saying. We have to be careful. Because look, you could even measure it like this and say we could make a series of lower highs, even if it comes up here to 234-ish. So we have to be careful. This is not a lower high yet. If it breaks down, it can be used as one, but this would be a devastating lower high, in my opinion, where it's at. If it breaks up, you can already see a possible reversal. I mean, man, oh man. Tinder Bear says new candle just opened above the upper trend line on the 5-minute. Interesting. And it's holding the area of concern here right now. 215 is the area of concern, and it's holding it. It's really holding it right now. Oh, after I talk about quant, before I forget, who wants to hear the XDC news? And I have it written out, so we don't have to go anywhere else. We can read it verbatim, what I put. Quant, I think is coming down because it's retesting, Shane. The cross in the 20-day. It's back testing the 20-day. I think it's the 4-hourly. It's got to come down a little bit more. Yeah, where we have this golden cross. And it's normal. If it may not even have to come down farther, but if it does, it's got a maximum pull down here. Should be somewhere around $82 to back test the golden cross here. And it's perfect. You want to see these back tests because now you clear out the stochastic. So, Shane, pay attention to this because this could be super bullish for quant. It's already breaking out of its short-term pattern. And it's got a big move up to get to the top side of it. It's got a potential here. It's got potential. It took the bottom way, which is what I would rather see it take the way it is right now and back test this area. I would talk more about quant, but I have so much stuff to talk about, and I've already been talking 30 minutes. But I want to talk about this XDC stuff. So if you're in the Telegram, it's very simple. All you have to do is go to my pager section, and I posted about this in the pager section. So, I kind of want to, let's see. So I'm going to go to my Facebook page. But this is basically a little breakdown. But I want to go to my Facebook page so I can read it a little bit easier. So I don't have to have all the other people's names on there. If you want to get all that information, be part of Tom's Army. But that's just going to give people the ability to scam us. And I don't want people to have that ability. So the XDC stuff. So tokenization of Brazilian real-world assets on the XDC network. So advancing real-world asset tokenization in Brazil. Vert Capital and UISA have successfully executed the inaugural issuance of their new collaboration on the XDC network, initiating a multi-strategy to tokenize $1 billion US in Brazilian real-world assets. This issuance involved the tokenization of an agribusiness receivable certificate, CRA, which is now fully traceable on a public blockchain, ensuring daily transparency, comprehensive lifecycle, auditability, and adherence to regulatory standards. So here's the details of the tokenized issuance. US 75 million tokenized on the XDC network, a significant milestone for Brazil's real-world asset market. 400 million, which is 75 million, distributed across 4 series, maturities extending up to 6 years, collateralized by UISA's agro-industrial receivables, recorded on the XDC network, layer 1 EVM compatible ISO 20022, compliant with CVM resolution 60 and 160. So they're introducing this as UISA, a leader in agro-industrial operations. UISA is and this is about UISA, is a prominent Brazilian agro-industrial leader specializing in the production of sugar, ethanol, energy, and bioproducts, processing over 6 million tons of sugarcane annually. UISA has allocated $3 billion for planned investments in biogas, carbon capture, and sustainability-driven innovation. Implications for Latin Americans' tokenization ecosystem. So the significance of this development. This issuance signifies the convergence of structured finance, ESG transparency, and institutional-grade blockchain technology, establishing a new benchmark for real-world assets tokenization across Latin America. And they chose XDC, guys. It's crystal clear why XDC you should be invested in. Not a lot of people are interested when I share XDC stuff for some reason. Even less people are interested when I share my gold, silver, and mining stocks. But look at some of these prices right now. Barrick Gold's aiming at $40 right now. That is insane. B2 Gold is at $4.43. Silver's over $52.85. Pan America's at $41. And this is unbelievable. Hekla's up 5.7% to $15.84. First Majestic's up 5.4% to $13.08. Fortuna's up 2.85% to $9.57. Silver Court Mining, we just bought it back at like $5.90 something cents, $6.12 at the top. And it's already back up over 7. That's crazy. Up 3% today to 702. We just bought back Dolly Varden at 352. And we'll see what happens here as it's at 385. And everybody always asks me, Tom, how much do you believe in XDC? Well, enough to have 205,000 tokens currently and buying it until it gets to 10 cents every Wednesday. You know what time it is, ladies and gentlemen? We get to do our daily buy of XDC. Speaking of which, is anybody joining on Winning Wednesdays? Is anybody joining us on Winning Wednesdays? Just out of curiosity, who is still with us on Winning Wednesdays? Just out of curiosity. I got to send over some funds. I forgot. I don't have any money open on Kraken right now because I'm invested in everything. Let's see. Where do I send it from? And you can do $50, you can do $100, you can do $250. I don't care what you do. I just I'm gonna do $250. Kraken. Oh, I might even do it. Here we go. Trading. I just might have to do something real quick, so please bear with me. And I think this is gonna pay off so unbelievably strong in the future. Remember, my goal was like 100,000 XDC on a dream level. And now just because of the way the events are playing out now, it's 200,000. I mean, I actually have 200,000, not 205, 200,838 to be exact. That's the exact number. And growing. And growing. Okay, so XDC. Okay. Oh, wait a minute. I got to do the stupid thing right here. I got to send it. I forgot. But right now we're seeing how we're pushing up. XRP was able to hold $2.15 right now. The best way to put this is as long as we hold that 215, the next area should be that 200 day at around $2.32 to 34 area. You know, it can be somewhere in between there, but that's what we're gonna have to aim for. I just gotta, you guys know how it is when you send something from one exchange to the next. There's a series of, I would do it on my tablet, but I can't take the risk because there's so many people that watch me now. And it's not that I don't trust all of you, but you see how easily the spammers infiltrate and they try to spam everybody. Can't let them steal our stuff. They steal our stuff, we have no chance. Unfortunately. And I encourage you to have multiple layers when you send and receive money. You don't want to have all that exposed. You want to make sure if somebody hacks you that they got to have all these different layers to go through. Okay, it just got into my account. And now I put $260 in here from I had it on BITUNIX, a little bit extra, so I decided to do it that way. So here we go, portfolio. trading, search, XDC, USD, buy. Oh, I'm so happy to do this. It's at 5381 right now on, or 5384. Okay, 81. I'm going to put it at 5399 and see what if it does anything. See what kind of traffic there is. 57 cents is the fee. It filled it at 5387 on Kraken just now. I got 4,815.572. So it's 57.2 cents on Kraken Pro is the fee. Not bad at all. Filled, I'm very happy. I created it for 5399 and it filled at, I just said, what was it? 5386. So that's pretty damn good. I'm pretty happy about that. So now I have, and I can show you proof that I did this. I like to show proof. I hear my son's thing going. Let's see. Maybe I'll just take a screenshot. It never shows me what I purchased on my account for some reason. Right into my email. That's fine, whatever. I'll just take the screenshot. Because then it'll show it filled at 5387. And then it'll show you, too, that I put 5399 in there for my limit price. The top it could go. And fortunately, it did it at 5387. So, I mean, that's what I was saying. Kraken Pro, you got to pay attention. The pricing's in the right spot. But it usually does good. And for 52 cents... I mean, with all the other nonsense, if I got to do it on a tier 1 exchange, just do Kraken Pro. At least that's, I'll put a link for Kraken too. I should put it back up there for the XDC stuff. I really should. I apologize for not having it up there. I promote myself on making it as simple as possible, and then I don't have it up there. Photos. Done. But, so who bought it? Just out of curiosity, I know it takes a second, but hey, we're trying to do this transparent, right? Trying to be transparent with all of this. It's the only way. The only way. Okay. So this was my limit buy. It gave me 4,815 was my limit buy I put in at 05399. It filled the exact amount, but it gave me 05387 instead of what I put for my limit price, which is great because it didn't try to rip me off. That's a good thing. This is data that I take and I tell the audience. So the fact it didn't rip me off is a good thing. 57.08 cent fee. Volume executed. There's the time. There's the stamp. Yada, yada, yada. So just so you can see that I actually do what I say. Buying payday Friday, Syrian. Excellent. Excellent. Supply is pretty thin. We need escrow dump now. Bring it on. Yeah, the supply, that's the interesting thing. Like, we could be pushing ourselves for a nice little push up here before the escrow dump. Like, that's what I'm hoping for. I'm hoping for that pretty generic, little trendy push up right before they do the escrow dump. It helps them get top dollar, too. Like, think about it. Would you rather, if your Ripple, get it at 218 or get it at 234, 244, 265? I don't know how high it'll go. But if we do lose $2.15, just remember, this invalidates my thesis. So leverage traders out there, if you get into a little hot water, if we break that 215, I probably wouldn't be sitting there with any expandable leverage there. So just please pay attention to that. There is an opportunity if 215 holds, because this could be the bottom for this short-term micro move. But if that breaks, for God's sake, don't sit there. Would you guys agree with that? And if you're looking for the lowest spot in leverage trading fees, look in the video description below and our pinned comment. If you want to join us on the Linea trade, it's in TOOBIT. I highly encourage you to join me. Right now we're in at 00955 on average, 340,000 or 331 or 2,000 shares or tokens. But I encourage it. Very low spot, like the lowest spot in leverage trading fees. I have my Epic on there as well, which I'm very proud of. And I like the way the interface is. If you want to trade, and this is just my own trading style, if you want to trade IOTA spot or DAG, and you want to have the lowest spot in leverage trading fees, or the lowest spot fees in this case, on the trading side of it, go to WEEX. Link in the video description below and our pinned comments. I've got 115,000 IOTA on the exchange, and I put it into funding, so it's not even technically sitting there to buy and sell. There's a funding aspect. If you're on Blowfin, you understand what that is. But they have a funding aspect to take it off the actual exchange. It's on the exchange, but it's in a funding wallet instead of actually in the spot. Or you'll have to look into it. It's a cool feature. Not all of them have it. Not all the exchanges. Some of them do, though, and WEEX is one of them that does. You can do a full KYC if you want, or no KYC. If you want your stuff better saved, you do the KYC. But then you obviously tax purposes, which I encourage you to pay your taxes, but obviously you're traceable once you do the KYC. But that's where I keep my DAG and over 300 and something. No, I don't know how many DAG. It's $3,000 worth, or a little bit higher worth. Anyhow, that's on WEEX. And then BITUNIX, I have my Axelar, and that's where Proton's at. And then like I said, all three of these, if you're a leverage trader, you can't miss. The fees are so cheap in comparison. So it's basically a choice whether you want to use BITUNIX, if you want to use TOOBIT, or if you want to use WEEX for leverage. That's on whatever you want to do. But different folks, or strokes for different folks, especially in the spot. You're going to need TOOBIT for certain things. You're going to need WEEX for especially IOTA and DAG if you want to get outside of the tier 1 exchanges. Because on Kraken with DAG, I would have put it there, but the pricing I showed everybody was about 10% higher because the supply is not great on Kraken. So WEEX is much better. And then obviously for IOTA, I trust WEEX. I know the books. I know it's on BITUNIX now, but I'm not going to switch because I know the order flow. So, I mean, there's a lot of options. Define welcome in says, hey, everyone, hit that like on the way in. Consider subscribing and joining Tom's Army for the best technical analysis on YouTube every day. You are not in the Telegram. You are seriously missing out. I concur with that 100%. Something special in there. And Define, thanks for being a very trusted mod in here and in the Telegram. And being in Tom's Army for 6+ months with the XRP predictor. Tom, do you have any key takeaways you can sum up in a sentence or two for our core members from the live? Ooh, that's a good question. So the best thing to tell the core members, to sum it up, one, if you're in leverage as a core member, if XRP breaks that $2.15, do not sit in the way of it if it shows a breakdown there. Understand that at $2.15, and the core members will understand this because you understand the short flow. And this doesn't affect the macro perspective, but in the micro, that 215 is everything. We lose that, we very well could end up finding ourselves in a tricky situation. We would have to hold, but yeah, just pay attention to that 215 area. And then in an overall statement, outside of just one particular chart to the core members, would be, in no time has the Fed ever raised rates while simultaneously going to quantitative easing and ending tightening. They have never, on that initial rate cut or rate hike decision, they've never raised the federal funds rate when they initially flipped from quantitative tightening to easing, to my knowledge, unless I'm missing one. So let everybody talk that we're going to be raising rates and all this other stuff, but understand that we're not doing that. So prepare for that now. Prepare for that now, is what I would say. Now, if you want a core statement for crypto, continue to watch the bullish perspective here. Wean out the bearish propositions and understand that if we're going to go bearish, we still have to build the bullish scenario that gives us that fuller liquidity base to drop us down in the bearish territories if we come down farther. Correct, MQ. It's not necessarily a dump. Everybody thinks that, but I've seen it 50% of the time the price pumps right after the escrow dump. And then it stabilizes where we'll have a big pump and then we'll correct back down and everybody's like, oh, it's dumping because of the escrow. Yeah, but we just had a 20% move up. So a 50% retracement and a 10% drop is not escrow related. That's just natural pattern progression. So I agree with you. I really do. Tom's going to shave his mustache if they raise the rates. Haha. John, the funny thing is, I have had this goatee and mustache since I was in 7th grade. I grew it in the summer. I grew it in the vacation between elementary and junior high. I was going to do it in 6th grade, but my mom convinced me not to because she said in elementary, you're not supposed to have facial hair, basically, is how she would present it. So I did it between the vacation and 6th to 7th grade. So once I got into middle school, I've never seen my face without a goatee and mustache. So it's been, I was 11 when I grew my goatee, and I was 11 years old when I grew my goatee and mustache, and now I'll be 42 on December 17th. So in about 3 weeks. So 31 years I've had this in different lengths and whatnot, but. So I know it's interesting. MQ, thanks for the $4.99 donation. Do super chat and also a very trusted mod in here and then the Telegram, and has your own little section to help everybody. Especially if you need help with leverage. That would be a great place to look. But anyhow, he says escrow dumps releases help prevent XRP from getting overbought as easily. We need dumps right now. Yep. That's why when a lot of people say we need to burn tokens, it would ruin everything if they did that. I mean, if you understand anything about this, you can't do that. If XRP gets to 639, shave it. No, because that's where it's going. No, if XRP ever gets to $100, we might talk. Because then that would make $1 million, or yeah, $1 million on 10,000 tokens. So then we could talk. Kraken seems to bump price up when I'm buying him. I'm not using the right trading method. Can't do limit orders in the method I'm currently using. Something's wrong then. Are you in Kraken Pro breaks? Like certain tokens, I noticed that like with SHX where there's less supply, less actual volume. And like I said, it was a 10% markup. That's why I ended up doing it on WEEX. There's certain ones that I don't do on there, but like I haven't had a problem with Algo, haven't had a problem doing it with XDC, even in high times of volatility, as I've shown. I haven't had a problem doing it with Band. I haven't had a problem doing it with what do I have on there? I know I have Band, XDC, Algo, and SHX. I didn't have a problem either. But on SHX though, I had to do 3,000 tokens at a time. And I have over 370,000. So I had to do small limit orders for it to fill. But SHX is doing phenomenal. We bought it at that 007 something. And now it's all the way up to almost 1 cent again. I'm so happy. I'm so happy that we decided to buy it. I'm so happy it was on Kraken and it happened to get put on there and had a big dump. Which is the easiest time to buy these guys too, is when you're red. The hardest time to buy it is when they're pumping, because the supply shock, especially via exchanges, it's not always easy. Because if there's not a lot of supply on there, it's hard. Exchanges reserve the right to limit orders. They are managing their order books and overall solvency. Yep, absolutely, MQ. Absolutely. Perfect way to describe that. An explanation for everybody wondering. Perfect explanation. We've got XRPN at 1017, the XRPC at 2339, which I'm not even too worried about those. I only care about the Armada acquisition ones, the XRPN, XRPNU, and XRPNW, and I've explained why. The one's a warrant, and you'll get yield on it eventually in 26. We're trying to find the right pricing to dip in to these particular assets, but I don't have a baseline, so I don't know. I really don't. So I don't know exactly where to buy them. So I'm just kind of watching from the crypto perspective right now and watching very closely this $2.15. I mean, it's nice because when I started, we were at 215.5. So we've at least made a positive push in the last 54 minutes by about 3 cents. But we still haven't got over any fundamental level here yet. And we're just trying to continue to push up this. We're just continuing to try to rally towards 242, knowing in the 4 hourly we got to get past this 230 area to try to make it towards there. That's what we have to push. Looks like we put in a double bottom here. Little Gartley here on a possible bull flag Gartley. Maybe a cup forming from up here. Like the 240. It almost looks like you could put in a cup right there, possibly. So yeah, I mean, there is this could work out in our favor. We just can't break down this barrier. We've got to hold this. If we hold this, this is suggesting we can come up to 265. But yeah, I mean, there's absolutely the possibility here that we just shoot out. It looks like we're set up for something grander. Let me get rid of this so it's easier to see, because this doesn't even need to be like this. Because it did this, but it came a little bit farther down and then bounced up and is trying to use that support. It just did it in a slightly different way is all. So this is absolutely valid. Like, we have to pay attention to this. We have to pay attention to this. There's no other way about this. If it holds this back test right now, we're going to move. We are going to move. Tanya, welcome in, love, and thanks for being in Tom's Army for over 3 years with the XRP Diamond Hands badge. Says, hi, T, hope all is well. Everything is going good, Tanya. T's on the path to better health. Still trying to get him to get over his psychological stuff, but he's starting to put stuff, putting it to his mouth. He's starting to grab food. He hasn't eaten it yet, but he's actually putting it on a plate, so he's thinking about it. He took all 8 ounces of his feeding this morning through his G-tube with no issue, which is the proper amount. And we've just been giving him extra water just until he starts drinking more, but he's doing really good today. Can I look at silver? Yes, before I leave, because I got to get out of here. It's already been almost an hour. I'm going to make grape leaves after I end this for Thanksgiving, work on them. And then I got a turkey from the farm. Had to reserve it, go there with a ticket on Monday. Julie had to go because I had to watch T because he wasn't feeling too well. We were going to go together, but we could not. And we got our lamb from the farm too, so it should be really good. Well, we'll see how it goes. Silver, $52.96. Congratulations, everybody. We held and put in an inverse pattern as of right now. This is huge because if we push up, our next layer is $58.22. Remember, we never hit my $55 mark, but we said it was close enough. So now maybe we're just coming up to here to that $58 level. But we'll see. We'll see, because there is the possibility you could be putting in a rising wedge. But if we break this resistance at 54.37, we're going to 58.35. And if we do a rate cut and stop quantitative tightening, or tightening and go to easing, it's bullish for gold and silver, ironically. So, guys, I mean, remember I was contemplating selling my mining stocks, and I said, you can't do it until you get to certain levels, and then I'm bullish until mid-26 should be the high time. And so what does that mean, getting into there? You can have severe pullbacks, but look, we had a 30% pullback in mining stocks. And now look what happened. We've eaten it up. Barrett's over 40. 40! We were buying Barrett at 15. 300 shares of Barrett, 300 shares of Pan America. And now that's almost at 42. We've got our 3,000 of B2. We created a little bit of capital with all these big gains. I think $16,000 in capital right now was created. The 1,000 of Hecla, the 1,000 of First Majestic, the 1,000 of Fortuna, the 1,000 of Silvercorp, the 1,000 shares of Dolly Varden. Like, these are all big stakes. Like, these are growing by the minute. When we put the 1,000 shares in, Fortuna was at $3.50, $4, $4.20. It's almost at 10. First Majestic was at $4.50, $4.20. It's at 13. Hecla was at $4.15, $4.20. Remember that last drop at $4.62, and I was in shock. I'm like, God, this doesn't make any sense. Price has to reflect the earnings at some point because they went off the charts. And now it's at 16 almost. I still think Dolly Varden's significantly undervalued. It's just with those common shares that happened. That's why I sold it at 4 or almost 5 and then bought it back at 352. Same reason I sold Silvercorp Mining over 7 and then bought it back closer to under 6. Because they had the common shares things that were settling out. And now, but that wasn't that they're releasing them to the market. They're buying them all back up. So I think there's an opportunity, but it's everybody. We had that big pullback, and it's, I don't know, man. This is getting scary now, because if we just go unabated in gold and silver, as much as we're gonna do good, it means when we go to the store, everything else isn't gonna be good. The ones who aren't putting their US dollar into silver, especially, as we've been talking forever. Look at some of the silver we bought when the ratio was at 108, 110. That means right now you could take 108 ounces of your silver that you bought. Let's just say you bought 108 ounces when it was 108 to 1. You could, in theory, let's just say it's at 78 and a half and the pawn shop charges you 4 ounces of silver as a overage on spot. So you come bring them 83 ounces of silver, we'll say, and get an ounce of gold, right? And that's with the overage. Well, you bought 108 ounces when it was 108 to 1, which means even now you can change your silver bars for gold. And at that ratio, yeah, they're going to take 5 or 6 over the top. I guarantee it, especially in this market. In traditional sense, it might cost you 1 or 2 overage. It's going to cost you about 6. I can almost guarantee it. Can almost guarantee there'll be a $300 overage on something like this. It shouldn't be, but there's going to be, especially in a pawn shop, if you can find somebody with the proper silver. So, and gold, the way that they do it. So then you would still have, even if you give them 85, let's say, you would still have 23 ounces of silver and an ounce of gold, which means you got 23 ounces of silver for free. That's the honest to God truth. It's no different than how we used to play the XRP Bitcoin ratio back at 38 cents in July of last year. We played the ratio. Like, this is unbelievable, the position we put ourselves in. If you've been watching for any length of time and been following my strategy, we're just in an interesting spot that is, I'm in new territory right now. New territory. For the last couple of years, you've only seen, was it 102? I thought it went up to 10. Maybe I'm thinking of 21. Let me look. I could be thinking of 21. It's possible. No. April of 25, it went up to 106.7, not 108. Went up to 106 plus this year. I knew it was way up there. Right here. 106.9. So it went up to 106.9. John, just to enlighten you so you know. It went up to 106.9 in April of this year. So, pretty close. So you could, if you had 106.9, so you bought it at 106. Same thing applies. So now you have 21 ounces, not 23. Same difference. But yeah, so that's when you wanted to buy the miners too, when there was this big of a difference, the silver miners. I mean, this has been explosive, and this is just going to get worse. This is going to come farther down. Eventually, we're going to have some kind of correction, but this is good. Silver is what highlights the biggest push in the bull market if it can break free, but we'll see. Gold's going to have its time again, I can assure you. No, 102 is great, John. Are you kidding? 102's even at 102, the scenario is still the same. That just shows you would have like 16 ounces of silver in your pocket plus an ounce of gold if you bought 102 at that time. Oh, it's great. You did a great job. Well, anything over 90 is phenomenal historically. Hell, anything over 80 historically. So to get into the hundreds, dude, you bought it in a period of time where it's only been there for small micro moments in history. It's been over 100. You did an extremely good job. So yeah, that's where I'm going to leave this. So we see that potential. Gold's up $35 an ounce right now. 4,153. If we're holding that, that's where it gets into unbelievable moments. If we get over that and we actually hold this area, If we hold 4,153 and break out of this, and this is like more of a rising triangle than anything else, I mean, you're talking about going to 4,400 right now, 4,500 on the next shot. Like, we'll be up $300 in a series of a week or two. So it's going to be unbelievable. And that just means further detriment to the society for us. And then the fear and greed index as I walk out. Down to 15. Oh, again, guys, everybody's not buying when they should be buying. This is a great sign. Oh, I'm so happy. I didn't know it was back to 15. Beautiful. If we hold 215, we're going to start aiming for 230. And ultimately that 265 over, we get the actual validation if we break 244.